lesson plan, we're going to start off with a story. And this is going to be about a lovely, picturesque sailing experience. Buddy and Jim are having a lovely time sailing along, and oh no, they suddenly capsized. And it's all good. They picked themselves up to recapsize the boat, and they continue sailing. But now, Jim has started to shiver. After a while, Jim starts shivering, but then starts to really slowly pull in the mainsail. And now, he's having a hard time listening to what Buddy has to say. What happened to Jim?
He got hypothermia.
Alright, what is hypothermia though?
It's when your body temperature goes under minus something, and you go all chilly and you can't control your body.
Yes. It is exactly when your core body temperature, part right here, gets too cold, which is 2 degrees below your average temperature, which is 98 degrees Fahrenheit. So at roughly 96, your body starts to go into hypothermia. And this happens for a lot of reasons. But in this scenario with Jim, what happened? What are some of the causes of why he... Yes?
It got wet and the water's cold.
Yes. Got wet in the water. And there's another reason. Yes.
There was wind?
Yes. It was a windy day. Alright, now in the story, there's a few signs as to why he had hypothermia. Do you know what those signs are? And are there any more signs as to what hypothermia is? Yes, Cole.
He was shivering?
Yes. Shivering. Anything else?
He wasn't hearing Buddy.
Buddy? Yeah, he was less responsive or confused, I guess. Yes.
He couldn't control his body?
Yeah, lack of strength, or like he was tired. And there's one more thing. Yeah.
He pulled in the main sheet slowly?
Yeah, that goes under lack of strength, tiredness, he was slowed down, he was confused. Alright, the next one is really, really obvious, and it's visibly, he's like pale, and his cheeks are flushed. You know when you go out on a winter day, your cheeks get all red? Yeah, and also, one of the really obvious ones is the expression, your lips are turning blue. That's one. So, in that face. Alright. And how would we treat Jim's hypothermia?
Bring him to shore and tell a counselor.
Yes. Partly get medical help if needed. There's a lot of things you can do. Yeah, one of them is to go and get a counselor, which is good. But how would you apply like first aid methods? What would you do if you didn't have a counselor?
Wrap him up in a blanket or something warm.
Yep. You would cover the exposed skin. He's wet. You're gonna take off the wet clothes if he has dry clothes to put on. And if he doesn't have dry clothes, you simply cover it up with windproof stuff, which is really important. But basically, what you want to do in your first goal is to prevent any further heat loss. The major one. You want to get him off the water. You want to get him away from the wind. You want to cover him up. Also, you want to start warming him up back to where he was. You could give him a bath if you had any access to a bath, and it'd be like lukewarm. Or one of the best methods is to give him a hot drink and sugary things to eat to boost his energy. Things could be like a chocolate, tea, hot water if he has it, or things like that. And one of the important things you need to do is once you've gotten him off the water and he's warmed up, you need to make sure and keep watching him to make sure that he's still okay, that he doesn't get any worse. Alright, and now, the final thing we're going to do is how could we have prevented Jim from getting hypothermia? There are 3 things here, and some suggestions as to what those things are. Yeah?
Some, like, more windproof equipment.
Yep. Windproof, rainproof, plastic material, excellent. Wind/rain. Alright, we've got a few more equipment things. Yeah?
Water shoes.
Well, you don't necessarily want water shoes. I conveniently have a pair of water shoes. But you need to cover his feet. Any footwear is important when trying to prevent hypothermia because the 2 major spots that you lose heat, like body heat, is the top of your head and the bottom of your feet. So it's important to have footwear. The other thing I mentioned was your head. So you always want to wear some sort of hat. It can be a toque if you want to protect your ears and that, or it could be a ball cap for when you're sailing on the water. Next one is a hat. Other types of clothing.
A life jacket?
Yes, but why a life jacket?
Because it keeps you warm.
Yes, it does keep you warm, and that's kind of the main point. But it's thick and a foamy layer inside makes a good insulation from the water. It really keeps you warm. Also, it's around your chest, and your chest is what's important. And when you get hypothermia, it's the reason why you start to get cold on your legs and arms and things. It's because your body is trying to heat up your heart and your lungs and that kind of thing. That's basically what the life jacket protects, is all this nice stuff in here. So, life jacket. There's a few more things for equipment. What else? Yeah?
You can, like, get gloves to keep your hands warm.
Yeah. Oh, good to protect your outside extremities, your fingers, and your feet and your toes. So gloves are important. One really good way of protecting yourself is a wetsuit. The reason for this is that when you get wet, it holds a layer of water between your skin and the outside, and the like material, and you warm up the water, and so it's consistent the entire way through. Wetsuit, another kind of like spandex type sailing gear. And one more thing is wool. Yay! Wool stays warm when it's wet. So it's really useful to have warm or wool things to keep warm even though you're wet. So wool, black. Alright, for weather and preventing hypothermia, what should you do? Coily?
Mine isn't on that, but what would you wear if you didn't have a wetsuit?
You would wear a combination of like wool, long pants that are not cottony. You'd also wear like raincoat and shoes that are things, but you can always get like wool socks and put crappy running shoes over top of it. Works really well. It's usually what I do. Going back to weather, what should you do to prevent hypothermia? That consists with weather.
Be prepared with the right equipment for what you're doing.
Yeah, close. You're on the right track. You do need to plan ahead. Plan ahead. Check the Weather Channel. Like, check the weather. You want to check if it's going to be sunny that day or if it's going to be windy. Windy is really important. If it's going to be a thunder shower, obviously you're not going to go. If it's going to rain, it means there's going to be no wind, but you might. Wind is one of the major things when it comes to hypothermia, because even if it's not a cold day outside, people can still get hypothermia with the combination of being wet and windy. It's going to really suck. And there's one more thing that you need to do to prevent someone in your crew from getting hypothermia. What would that be? You know? Are you sure? It's to pay attention, just in general. If you start to shiver, that's a sign that you're going to become colder. You need to take note of that right now. Next, and also you need to pay attention to the people around you. If someone else fell off the boat and they're now wet, you need to make sure that they don't go into hypothermia. So you need to pay attention to everything around you and notice the signs. You need to notice the signs and take into account the color of their face and if they're shivering or not, or if they're paying attention to you and talking. You need to pay attention to that, and that's the final thing in preventing is paying attention. Alright, and that consists of our lesson for today.